All right, today we're back to answer your rapid fire breakup questions, volume 2. Now, if you don't remember how this works, it's pretty simple. All we're doing is taking random questions that people leave in our YouTube comments, sometimes on our rapid fire question videos, sometimes on other videos, and I'm just sitting here and answering them. I will admit that I have seen some of the questions, but I haven't prepared any answers because I wanted my answers to be as authentic and organic as possible. So let's just jump right in. Zarias asks, I'm already in no contact for about 1.5 months. 10 days later would be our second anniversary, May 25th. Should I reach out, or if she reaches out, how should I react or talk to her? Okay, there's a lot going on here. The first thing I would say is if you've been in no contact for 1.5 months, that's pretty much the maximum length that we recommend. So I would say it's okay for you to begin to start thinking about reaching out. But here's sort of the little asterisk next to the idea. You don't want to reach out on a birthday or a holiday or an anniversary because it's important that your ex doesn't think you're reaching out because of that. Now, on the other hand, if your ex reaches out saying something related to this anniversary, and you're not in no contact, you are more than welcome to start up a conversation about that. But what I would do is, call me cold-hearted, but if you're still in no contact or just coming out of no contact, I would not do anything. I would simply extend that no contact period a few extra days and then reach out to your ex after that. All right, Kara A asks, hey, where do we ask questions? I'm on day 11th of a successful no contact. I have him fully blocked. What's next? All right, me picking your question is purely randomized. So if you want to ask a question, probably the easiest place to get picked is by simply leaving a comment in this video with your question. But hey, I picked your question. All right, so you're on day 11 of a no contact. Now you say it's successful, but I would argue with you that it's not been successful yet for 2 reasons. Number 1 is not enough time has really passed for it to be truly successful. And number 2 is you shouldn't be worried about what your ex is doing. You should be worried about what you're doing and kind of improving your life in all of these areas. The other thing I would say is usually we don't recommend our clients to block their exes. The reason for why this is the case is because a lot of times during no contact, one of the most effective means of communicating with them is through indirect means. And usually you need social media in your tool belt for that to happen. So I would actually ask you a follow-up question of, do you have your ex blocked just on the phone or across everywhere? Because if it's across everywhere, well, that's maybe a little bit of a misstep on your part. We don't really care if you block them on their phone while you're doing the no contact rule, but we do really care if you block them via social media. Now, if you have blocked them via social media, I actually wouldn't unblock them until your no contact rule is complete. And usually you want to get back in touch with them first before you unblock them. All right, Jason Along says, question. What is the sign if my ex-girlfriend has not deleted all of our social media photos, even if it was 1 year ago posted on social media? Now, I think you can go to a bunch of different YouTube channels and get a different opinion on what this means. My personal take is focusing or hyper-focusing on so much of your ex's social media habits is kind of unhealthy and doesn't really help you improve your own life personally. But if you want me to kind of psychoanalyze it, I would say it doesn't bode well for you. Now, that's maybe the opposite of what you're expecting me to say, but if you really think about it, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So the most indifferent thing for an ex-girlfriend to do is just to leave all your photos up and not even care that they're there. So that's my honest take. Hey there, real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. All right, Jessica Dunn says, I outgrew my ex and grew in a tremendous way personally, and they kept surfacing around because their new supply still apparently isn't feeling whatever emotions they thought they would with the grass is greener syndrome. It's really about self-improvement and leading a purposeful life. He's so right about so much in this video. Now, what she's referring to is a video that I recently did where I started talking about the mindset that really works to help get your ex back. And almost always when I pour my heart and soul into a video like that, it does really poorly. No one really watches it. Now, luckily, the message I was kind of peddling there is the key isn't so much about focusing on the tactics of getting your ex back, but it's about really outgrowing your ex before you talk to them. And we've seen it across time ever since we've started that there's this uncanny sort of trajectory of people's situations where they don't see results with getting their exes back until they felt like they outgrew their ex and then talk to them. So she's just basically reiterating from her own personal experience sort of the outgrowth mindset that we teach here on the YouTube channel and how it does work and why it may not be the most popular sort of advice that people want to hear, but oftentimes I find that it's the tactics and strategies or concepts that people don't want to hear about that tend to have the most effective results. Rotten Tor asks, Chris, I just broke no contact after 2 months with a fearful avoidant ex. Wish I would have seen this video before. I just asked her how she's doing, no response. Do you think I ruined my chances? No, you didn't ruin your chances. Really, with avoidance, what you need to understand is that there's almost like this time dilation effect that occurs. So think of it like this. There's really like two types of attachment styles, if you want to categorize them. There's the secure type of attachment styles, and then there's the insecure type of attachment styles. But within those two categories is really 3 or 4 main attachment ones. And each attachment style is going to experience time in a little bit of a different manner. So let's take a secure attachment. 30 days for a secure attachment is going to feel like 30 days. Let's take an anxious attachment. 30 days for an anxious attachment style, it's going to feel like 3 months, because they're so anxious and they have such problems with patience. Avoidance, on the other hand, well, 30 days is going to seem like 10 days. So there's this interesting time dilation that occurs based on your attachment style, especially when you implement a no contact rule. Now, I say this because you reached out to your ex and didn't really get a favorable response or a response at all. And you noticed that she's a bit fearful avoidant. Now, the important thing to keep in mind here is that you may have reached out too soon, because we know from avoidance that they really don't begin missing you until they feel like you've moved on from them. So 2 things needs to happen. Number 1 is whatever time you're using waiting and being patient for them to feel they're okay to move on, or feel like it's okay for them to miss you, you need to be spending actively putting subconscious signals out there that you are moving on, and that's okay. The second thing that needs to happen is you need to be a lot more patient, especially if you're an anxious attachment style. So if you have an anxious attachment style, waiting 30 days is going to feel like a lifetime, but to an avoidant attachment style, it's going to feel like a week went by. And this is important because usually these 2 type of attachment styles sort of attract one another. So here's what I'm saying. You haven't ruined your chances. You just need to be a little bit more patient and recognize that it's going to take a lot longer for you to see results than maybe an average person is. Gloria Kun? I don't know. I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Says, what I am curious about is why a man would start being rude and distant after 2 months. We had been friends for 4 years. We tried to start dating and he started getting hot and cold. He said he was confused, so I told him that I didn't want any hard feelings and didn't want to lose our friendship. We agreed to stay friends and that if he decided that he wanted to try again, to let me know. We've been good until lately. We work together, so I can tell a difference in his behavior. So basically, you're just trying to understand what is going on. Why is he being so rude lately? Okay, so there's really two questions I would ask you at this point. The first question is, did you actually officially date him? And if so, how long? The second question is, if you didn't date him, that could be a reason for why he's giving you kind of almost this attitude. Because if you didn't actually physically date him for a acceptable period of time, he's almost going to feel like strong-armed into this relationship with you, and he's almost going to be looking at you sort of like you're always trying to manipulate him through this friendship to get back together. And the reason that's kind of an important thing to feel is it kind of creates this sort of Damocles effect over his head. So every reaction, it pollutes, or this idea pollutes, because he's thinking, she's trying to manipulate me to get me back. There's always an action. So here's how you overcome it. You literally go on a date with someone else. Even if you're not really feeling that other person, the fact that you're going on a date with someone else and briefly mentioning it or showing it on social media will make him feel a lot more comfortable that you're kind of moving on. And also, you need to keep in mind that if an ex really feels like you're just being friends with him because you're trying to get back together with them, they have a perception of you. They have sort of this idea of every intention you have is to try to get me back. So when you do things to flip that on its head, it allows them to kind of like chill out and realize, wait, I'm just overthinking things. And that's when you can get them. Now, if you want your question featured in one of these videos, all you have to do is just basically leave a comment below. And if it's good enough, we'll feature it. But also, if you are kind of really unsure of where you stand with your ex and you want some clarification, one of the smartest things you could do is to hop by our website, exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. It's a simple 2-minute quiz designed to basically tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back, and all you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. Also, if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed, please do so. Even though I told you to comment already, like and subscribe so that we can sort of like push ourselves up and take over YouTube.